When Genshin Impact released in 2020, it shook the gaming market as it was the first high-quality gacha game with a massive open world and a ton of things to do. There were people out there thinking about, do chests respawn, and other very important questions. But now that the game has been out for a couple of years, I think we can conclude what kind of game we're all playing. Genshin Impact is secretly a visual novel. And I will tell you why in this video today. Remember to hit subscribe, like and the bell. So now that we are at Fontaine, the game has been going and updating for the last 2 to 3 years, and I think we have seen a very interesting pattern. When the game first released, there were a lot of questions about things like endgame and the endless discussion of where is my combat content. But now, 3 years in, I think we all understand what kind of game Genshin Impact is. I will conclude that it is not a game about combat and about late game build optimization and Constellation 6 characters. No, Genshin Impact is here for its storyline, and it has kind of become a visual novel. At this point there are so many absolutely insanely strong teams that you can smash Abyss with, that Abyss has become kind of a time test where if you've been playing the game for about a year, you could have probably built up a team strong enough to deal with all the different things that Abyss 12 throws at you. Maybe you still 36 star it, or maybe you get maximum stars, but all in all, the biggest PvE challenge becomes irrelevant when you watch a couple of guides, you get a couple of good reaction characters, and with even stronger characters coming out every patch, you're just on a revolting door where old, less good characters get pushed out, where new, better characters get pushed in, but the challenge remains the same. Do the time trial and keep farming artifacts and you will do fine in Abyss. The game's combat and endgame has not evolved since launch, and unlike a game like Honkai Star Rail, where Swarm Disaster was added, you get a lot of new simulated universe planets, and in general, they are expanding the endgame content every single patch, and we're getting more and more combat challenges, also in different forms. Some revolving around like Swarm Disaster, survival, and really you need a lot of defensive characters there, while the mirror usually revolves around killing the opponent in a certain amount of turns, so that is a bit more similar to the Abyss. The Genshin Impact end challenge has stayed the same. Kill the enemies fast enough. So what's new in Genshin Impact? Well, the storyline has evolved so much. Coming from Mondstadt, I personally think Mondstadt was also the weakest part of the Genshin Impact storyline, as right as you hit Liyue, the story really picks up, with Rex, Lapis and incredibly interesting parts of the story. And from there, I think the story writing team definitely has made a lot of strides in making the story both more interesting and even a little bit more interactive. So let's take Inazuma for example. It's a lot more foreign place and you definitely felt like under a threat for a lot of the time in the story. And I actually think the Inazuma story was quite good. Then we go to the beautiful place of Sumeru. And Sumeru has some controversial takes like there's too much puzzling and there's so much puzzle work to do there and so much exploration, which some people really enjoyed and others felt kind of overflowed by. But we can all agree on one thing. The story in essence is very, very good. But the story was not told through gameplay. You didn't have a lot of gameplay or enemies come in, you occasionally had to hit like 3 slimes. But the story was a visual novel playing in front of you, like you were listening to an audiobook or you were reading something. Now this is a completely fine way to convey a story, but if you are playing a game, sometimes you might have a desire to, be gaming and not be listening and relaxing and enjoying a story. And that's why I think it is good to know that at this point Genshin Impact has definitely become a visual novel. The game is not so much about doing insane combos with your team or 4 and dealing incredibly difficult combat challenges. It is 90% enjoying your time, relaxing, sitting back and just letting the story and the world open up in front of you while it's happening at a steady pace. There is no skill checks in doing the story, and all in all, it's like a nice train ride you go on. You enjoy the scenery and at the end you say, this has been a great time. That is the game that Genshin Impact is. It is a train ride, you get on, you enjoy the sights and you get off whenever you like. And if you do seek an additional challenge, the Abyss is always there, but it is always unfortunate that there is no more content like the Abyss. So that is why I conclude that the most important part of Genshin is its story, and it has become more of a visual novel. Because there's very little gameplay elements, the story is incredibly good but it plays out in front of you, and unfortunately there is very little decision trees in the story. And because of that, it's a book and we're all playing it. And you know what? That is completely fine. The game has a wonderful story, and the best part of the game is honestly being able to experience it with every single one of you. The story is incredible, and the fact that it is not a high scale, extremely difficult game where, like Elden Ring, where you have to press 300 buttons and do a mega combo to destroy the enemy, is completely fine. So kings and queens and everything in between, enjoy the game as much as you can, and I will be here along with you on this beautiful ride of fantasy.